Good morning and welcome to Entrepreneurs Hour, right here on WRFR 93.3 FM. Every week on Entrepreneurs Hour, we dive into stories of triumphs, challenges, and lessons learned, highlighting how local organizations and individuals are working together to foster a thriving business ecosystem right here in Knox County and beyond. Whether you're starting a business, growing one, or supporting the local entrepreneurial community, this show is exactly for you. Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Austin. I'm your host and president of Ardea, proud sponsor of this show. Ardea is located in Rockport, and we help small businesses and nonprofits with bookkeeping, large-scale accounting, payroll, payment solutions, and tax services. I'm also the president of the Rock Coast Entrepreneurs and a member of the NSBA Leadership Council, representing Maine small business community on a local, state, and national level. I created the show to help entrepreneurs navigate the complexities of running a small business by providing a platform where entrepreneurs can share their journeys and highlight some amazing partners in our region, showcasing the impactful ways they're helping small businesses and entrepreneurs succeed. Let's learn, inspire, and support one another as we continue to build a stronger small business community together. Now, let's get started with today's show. Well, good morning, everyone, and I'm really happy to be on the show today with a functional intro for everyone. And so I just want to say welcome to March. We're all looking forward to spring, but boy, it's still cold. But it's going to really heat up today when we have a great conversation with Stephanie Cheney, owner of Flick the Tick and co-creator of Soothing Lotion. We have her stuff right here on display for everyone that's joining us on Facebook, or will view us in the future on YouTube. But really, we're just really here to learn a lot about Stephanie's journey, but also too about her business, her family being involved, and a lot of cool stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it. What we're going to be talking about today is talking about the journey from homemade remedy to the retail success, scaling a Maine-based brand, and lessons learned in entrepreneurship. So welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Thanks for having me. I'm pleased to be here.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I grew up in Maine, in Wiscasset, and went to the University of Maine at Farmington after after high school. My husband and I spent some time down in the Boston area, southern New Hampshire, before returning to Maine to raise our family in 2017. So
we call that a boomerang.
We are a boomerangers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm a boomerang as well.
I love the term.
Yes.
We love it. And so we're thrilled to be back in Maine. We always knew that we would return families here, and this is the place that we wanted to raise our family. So we came back in 2017, and he's a healthcare provider, and I'm a teacher by education and trade. And so when we came home, it was all about, getting the kids back into a routine in terms of school and securing jobs. So I work at Lincoln Academy in Newcastle at the high school there, and computer science is my background. So, which is why I was asking you about, how do you edit your stuff?
Okay.
And, I'm familiar with the term dongle. And
well, there you go.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's been great to be back, and we started our product journey because of the pesky brown-tailed moth and that caterpillar with the distinctive 2 little red dots on its back. And our kids struggle with it, and so the hairs. Are you familiar with the caterpillar?
Yes.
So the hairs of the caterpillar cause a really itchy rash for some people, not for everybody. But our son is extremely sensitive to it, and my father-in-law is as well. So we found this great recipe that is really widely circulated, and we started making batches in our kitchen for ourselves and for our family.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so that's how your journey started with Soothing Lotion,
yes.
Right?
Yep.
And so can you share how it all began? And I know that obviously it happened. You probably started with a child having brown tongue, and you're like, and you started researching. Like, tell us how this all began from that point.
Absolutely. Yeah. So like I said, my husband's a healthcare provider. So the office that he was working in at the time was making this lotion and giving it to their patients. And then, of course, insurance got involved, and they wanted, prior authorizations, and they wanted to be able to charge for the lotion. And we knew that there was a better way, right? That this is, it's an incredible affliction when you have it, right? It's the rash is so itchy, it's unbearable, and it seemed like, all of the ingredients in the lotion are over-the-counter ingredients. Why should insurance get to gatekeep, who gets access to the lotion or not? And so, like I said, it's all over-the-counter stuff. We started making the lotion in the kitchen and using it with our family, and and sharing it with friends. And then before we knew it, it was like friends of friends calling to say, hey, can we have some of your lotion? At the time, it was hard to come by all of the ingredients at the right time. And so we started, and now we're kind of getting into COVID times, right? Where it was really hard to source ingredients. And so we were buying more in bulk at that point. And so it was easier for us to get the ingredients. And we were happy to share it, right? Happy to share it with people because it's super itchy and the stuff really works. So over time, we've tweaked the recipe.
Yeah.
And, we've learned the kind of ins and outs of how are we still sourcing our materials, where are they coming from? We're testing on ourselves in terms of making sure they're high quality and the recipe is working. We tested a whole bunch of other people's products too. So there's some roll-ons. There's some local pharmacies that are making a spray lotion or spray that we just don't think work quite as well as the lotion does.
Yeah.
And so that's helped us kind of refine things over time and make sure that we're providing a really high quality product.
That's awesome. So you started off just by letting friends and family, your family, testing it basically. So when did you go to market?
So we've started in a really small way in 2019, starting to bottle these 1 ounce jars. These ones that we are using now are glass. We started with plastic, and we're always trying to kind of improve our environmental footprint in terms of, are we, buying in bulk, trying to reduce the amount of waste that we're producing and, putting out into market. And so we started selling in really small retailers like the Alna store and Sheepscot General and really, tiny places.
Mom and pop stuff.
Mom and pop stuff.
That's
Yep. People that we
begins.
knew, right? That knew the product and we're like, yes, we're happy to be the sort of point of contact for people out in the market. And that has helped us build the wholesale side of our distribution.
Okay.
So, we could talk about wholesale versus retail, right? Which are two very different
let's talk
different
about
markets.
it, So obviously, what came first, the chicken or the egg, basically?
Exactly,
So you started off with retail.
We started off, well, we weren't really selling to friends and family. It was more like here, here. And then when people that we didn't know started coming to us, then it was like, okay, we're really just trying to cover our costs at that point. So our price point was really small, and and it was people coming to the front door, literally, to get some lotion.
Wow.
So not online, nothing like that, which we are now.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead and open it up. So
I just want to. I always like to.
Yep. Smell it.
Awesome.
And so then when we started selling to Alna General and Sheepscot General Store, that's in Whitefield.
Yeah.
And an amazing little general store if you haven't been. That was when we really started to kind of look at the model and do I want to be, shipping product onesie twosies, or is the wholesale market selling to stores, to retail stores that then put a display box on the counter and they're selling for us. So they're managing the sales tax and, all the other bits and bobs of the, kind of real nitty gritty details. working with them on the the wholesale pricing versus the retail pricing. How do you mark that up? Yeah, it's been a fun journey.
So
Huge learning opportunity.
So a lot of when you go into retail,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be creative with your display and make it pop. So
Yeah.
so how does that journey begin? Like, how do you test that?
Yeah.
Because that's something that I'm intrigued with. Like, how do you know, like, what type of display to use?
Yeah. So that's the fun story that ties Soothing Lotion and Flick the Tick together.
Okay.
So when we first started, our labels for Soothing Lotion were really the top of the jar, and something that I made in a tool like Canva, and we were printing them out on our home printer.
Okay.
And we happened to have a neighbor who it turned out I knew she worked for Reny's. And I said to her, hey, would you, could we talk about this? I'm interested in growing, the distribution. And, I wonder if you would take a look and tell me if you think Reny's is the sort of place that would sell this for us. And she said, actually, I'm the buyer for bug sprays and lotions and things like this. She said, I'd love to look at it.
This is a neighbor.
It was a neighbor. Just total coincidence.
Okay, this is what I love about Maine, right?
Right? Maine is the best. So total coincidence, the neighbor was the exact buyer for Reny's that we needed to talk to. And she was fantastic. I gave her a bunch of samples, and she gave me, like 10 bullet points of here are the things that you need to do with this product in order for us to be able to sell it at Reny's. And so that was how we ended up with, the top label and, the side label. We didn't have a UPC, a barcode at that point.
Oh,
she said,
yeah.
you need a barcode.
Right.
So, and, there's a whole organization that issues barcode numbers. You have to register products and things like that. Again, huge learning curve. And so at that point, working at Lincoln Academy, we were undergoing a website redesign, and our web designer was the woman who owned Flick the Tick. Because in Maine, when you're an entrepreneur, you do lots of different things.
That has been a trend, right? In all the shows, is that the side hustle.
You hustle, right? You have a main gig, and then you've got all these other side hustles that you try to grow, and then eventually, hopefully the side hustle then can supplement, and maybe you're doing that full time. So anyway, working at Lincoln with this web designer, and I'm, telling her about Soothing Lotion, and she's telling us about Flick the Tick that she had started earlier in 2017 with her sister. And she said, I actually, and I'm saying to her, here are all the things I'm trying to do for Soothing Lotion to get it into Reny's. Mm-hmm. They were already selling in Reny's. So she said, here, let me show you my display box for Flick. And she said, I will do, I essentially contracted with her to redo the labels for Soothing Lotion and create a display box for us. So Reny's wanted a display box to go on the counter that could hold 12 jars of lotion, 12 1-ounce jars. And so, based on the measurements of the jar, here's what we're using for our jars, right? Here are the measurements. Here's what we want it to say, right? We want it to talk about brown-tailed moth rash. We want it to talk about mosquito bites and seasonal irritations. I have people from all over the country who use it for their eczema, and people swear by it for their eczema, which great. Like, I'm so happy that it works for so many different things. We have family down in South Carolina that use it for fire ants. The kids are always getting into fire ants in the backyard. This stuff is great for that. Bee stings, like on and on and on. So, but what are the kind of bullet points that you want to have to highlight the product on the display box? So we went back and forth on that. So Heather just designed our display box. We worked with Franklin Printing in Farmington. Again, we're trying to support.
I've heard a lot of great things about this.
And we're trying to support other Maine businesses through our growth and development here. So Franklin Printing was fantastic to work with. They did, a lifetime supply of display boxes for us because it's cheaper to buy in massive quantities. And so that was how the relationship with Flick the Tick started.
Okay, that's awesome. And so then you scaled. So you had it in Reny's, and then you started putting it into Aubuchon. So how were you able to make that leap from, so you had that connection with the neighbor. Yep. The neighbor obviously treated you just like any other, any wholesaler, right? And so kind of and basically just told you, here's the checklist, and if you can do it, we'll see what we can do, which I love that.
Yeah.
So how did you get to the second one?
So, once we were in Reny's, then it was easier. I mean, I'm cold calling people, right? Mm-hmm. So now we're in Rising Tide, and as a part of the co-op family, then we were able to say, once you get a foot in the door somewhere, it's easier to get in other places. So, from Rising Tide, we're able to say, okay, Belfast co-op, the co-op in Rockland, Blue Hill has a co-op, right? Gardner had a co-op and it closed last year, which was really sad. But, so to be able to then sort of push out into different co-op markets, we're in the Portland Food Co-op, and, trying to research different small businesses in Maine that we feel like the product would work really well. Ames Supply is a True Value hardware store in Wiscasset.
Right. They've
been a great partner. And so, now we're trying to get out into more of the True Value side of companies. So when Heather and her sister decided that they also are side hustling with a bunch of other businesses, and they wanted to put their effort into the more creative side of their businesses. And they said, okay, we're ready to sell Flick. They called us and said, is this something that you would consider taking on? They have between them a handful of teenagers that they were hoping would take on the business. No one's was really in a position or had a deep interest in taking it over within their family. So they said, okay, we're looking for somebody outside, and we feel like these two products together are so important for helping people enjoy the outdoors. And so it feels like a really natural fit. And they were fantastic to work with. So we took over and purchased Flick the Tick this time last year.
Okay.
And so with Flick the Tick came Aubuchon Hardware and a bunch of other bigger retailers that we've now been able to grow because they're also selling Soothing Lotion. So we could say, where it's the same recipe, the same great product, and now we have a new product that's sort of, part of the family, so to speak.
That makes sense.
Of products that we think will be great for your customers. And that has been, first year of growth for us. We didn't want to take on too much beyond learning how to make Flick and, kind of figure out our bottling process, which was really new for us. It's different than Soothing Lotion. Yeah. So, last year we didn't try to take on too much more newness for us, but this year we are really trying to grow things a bit more, and again, still cold calling, still reaching out to people via email, where there's a licensing and registration piece to Flick and Soothing Lotion. These are the EPA deems them minimum risk pesticides. So in order to sell those, you have to be registered in the different states where you have a retail presence.
Okay.
So so that has been interest again, learning curve. Learning curve, it's all like, wow, okay. Flick had been selling on Amazon. And so we did that last year. And some of the rules around the state regulations have changed, so we're no longer selling on Amazon.
Yeah, which that must be really tough to keep up with those orders.
It is tough to keep up with the orders, and it's at first I was like, oh, we're losing kind of a big share of what our retail sales were through Amazon. But when you look at the numbers, we're selling just as much through our website as we were through Amazon, and it's nice to kind of bring that back in-house and help people understand that you really are supporting a small family business.
Yeah.
And I think right now people are looking to move away from some of the big box scenarios and support local small businesses. So I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to kind of transition away from Amazon in a way that doesn't have a big impact to the bottom line.
That's awesome. And we're going to expand more on that topic here. But I think for our listeners and our viewers, I think it's really important. It's like when you're expanding and you have an opportunity that's presented to you, like Flick the Tick for you, what goes into the decision of buying a business, and what are some of the lessons learned that you learned through that process?
Yeah, we have a great legal team and a fantastic accountant who was able to kind of look at where we had gone from Soothing Lotion and the growth and trajectory of that and the sort of financials that we were provided for Flick the Tick. And the business agreement, there was some negotiation there, and our legal team really helped us figure out, what are the things we can ask for, what are the things we need to sort of let go of in terms of negotiating a business sale and an agreement there. And everyone agreed it was going to be good for us, right? We wanted to be able to, continue to grow Soothing Lotion. And by taking on Flick the Tick, this felt like the next right choice because they were a few years ahead of us in growth and were coming with a huge contact list of places that were selling the product that we could easily now slot Soothing Lotion into. And so it is a bit of a gamble, right? It was a definitely family conversations. Is this something that we want to take on? It's more work for us. And, when we say small family business, it's, it's us and our kids.
Right.
And we're paying, my niece to help us. We're making Soothing Lotion literally around the dining room table. And so, is this something that we want to grow? Is this something that we want to keep doing? You mentioned growing a family business, hopefully for your kids to be able to take over. That's our hope here too, right? We're trying to build something that our kids can eventually, move from putting the stickers on the labels to, really helping to manage the inventory, and they're already helping with shipping.
That's awesome.
And our niece is doing production for Flick, and, trying to set them up for something that could be really successful for them.
Yeah. So, I'm so glad that you brought up about having a team that surrounds you for making a decision because, even in my younger life, my first stab at being an entrepreneur, I took somebody's word, the seller.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a team.
Right.
And our partners at the time, we just took their word for it, and ouch.
Yeah.
That was a bad decision.
Yeah.
From the get-go, and we had no idea. But if we would have had a team to look through those financials and be able to pull out all of the data and question what doesn't make sense, and then having the legal team was a smart way and a great feedback for our listeners and viewers. So that's fantastic. I'm going to jump into more of this. So building the Maine-based brand. So how important is it about keeping production and business operations local to you, meaning in your home? Like, I know you talked about, I guess my question around that is that it's working for you now, but what's the plan? Like, how do you plan for those things? Because your kids aren't always going to be there.
Right. Yeah. No, and it's something, so my sister and my niece are very much involved in the production side of things. And it's hard to have all of this in the house, right? Because you feel like, so the other part of our sort of day-to-day is that we run a bed and breakfast. And so, yeah, I know. So the production space is housed within the bed and breakfast. So we have a guest side of the house. We have our personal side of the house, because in Maine, when you are licensed to run a bed and breakfast through the state, which we are, the owner needs to live in the house. So it's hard to get away from work. And whether it's the B&B or it's Flick and Soothing Lotion, everything is right there. And that's great for being able to, walk downstairs in your sweatpants and make 100 bottles of Flick. It's also hard to separate yourself from that and get a little bit of distance. So we are definitely talking about kind of what's the next, 5 years look like in terms of production, and are we going to continue to grow, and how are we going to continue to grow. We're hoping to get into some bigger retailers. But it's a matter of, to go back to the whole wholesale versus retail, wholesaling products is definitely easier, right? Because I make the product and I send it out to the different stores, and then they're doing the sales end of it. And the book side of it is easier to keep than retail, and managing sales tax and all the rest of that, right?
True.
Which you have to be paying attention for, and collecting and submitting to the state on a regular basis. But so yeah, for right now, we're comfortable in our home production space. We have a whole room that's dedicated to all of this, from production of, it's like a little chem lab, right, with the bottles and the pumps and all the things, to mix, flick, and produce these 4-ounce jars. And we have a shipping station. We've tried to keep it really organized so that we have, kind of different parts of the room for different pieces of the production step. But we're trying to create efficiencies for ourselves as well. So when we first started, we were hand labeling all of the jars with the stickers, and on the top we were using different. You pulled the seal off, right? We seal these for protection. We were using a seal that went over the top of the lid, and you needed to use a heat gun to shrink it down, and that was incredibly time intensive and just silly. We had to use leather gloves so that our hands weren't heating up too much as we were using it. Was just inefficient. So we're trying to, now we have labelers, so we just sort of run the jars through the labelers and the bottles, and so we're automatically sort of applying the labels to the right jars in the right place, and just trying to build in those sorts of efficiencies that allow us to be able to produce more in a reasonable amount of time.
What we really need to have, like in that Damerscott Waldboro in this area, it would be amazing for us to have something like what's down in Brunswick, and have like a shared lab space where people would be able to have their own little section and be able to share equipment and labeling machines. Like, if you're listening out there, people who love to support entrepreneurs, we need to have that ASAP, please.
For sure. And commercial kitchen too, as part of it. I've been hearing lots of people who are looking for commercial kitchen space that just doesn't exist up here. There's a handful of them in Portland, but nothing up here that people can rent kind of in the short term. And there are lots of amazing cooks and bakers that are doing good stuff out of their own home.
You learn to cook in some of those spaces, and it's a great revenue model for sure. So just going back to so when you're producing your own products, right, and now you're wholesaling, and now you're selling to box stores, and so production's got to be, and you're getting things out. So do you do 100% shipping, or do you self-distribute from time to time? Like, how does that work? And how is that decision tree?
We do all the things. Right?
Okay.
So it sort of depends on where the store is located. So I am, driving over to the Reny's warehouse, which is in Newcastle, right? It's just down the road. I'm happy to deliver there.
Sure.
It kind of depends on the time of year. If I'm right out straight with orders and the B&B is full, right? That's helping me make choices around, am I shipping to you or am I delivering? Some people pick up. We work with the Booth Bay Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens, and she lives down the street, so she'll come and, okay, I'm gonna swing by and pick up our order, right? So orders are all coming in through online invoices, through QuickBooks, and so that has been also a learning curve, right? Finding the tools that allow you to, from my accountant's perspective, keep real careful track of my books, and people can pay through QuickBooks, pay their invoice, and but once those orders are coming in, we're just packaging and shipping daily.
Wow.
In the height of the season.
being that you're a Maine-based product, community is really, really important. So how has community played a role in the success of where you stand today?
Yeah, word of mouth is huge, and people saying to their friends and family, "Wow, this product really works well," is a big deal. We, for Soothing Lotion, worked with the Maine-made organization, so we are part of the Maine-made, group of vendors, and so that means we're able to use their logo on our display boxes.
Awesome.
And the previous owners of Flick had already done that, so Maine-made does some really great press in Down East magazine and other much widely circulated
that's important.
publications, which is great. And but really it's word of mouth, and often I'm hearing from our customers when Reny's is out, right? Brown-tailed moth in Bridgeton was wild last summer, and the Bridgeton Reny's just couldn't keep it in stock.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was hearing from people in Bridgeton saying, we need more lotion at Reny's, they're all out. And so then that is my sort of cue to reach out to Reny's to say, hey, I'm hearing that Bridgeton needs more lotion. Do you need another shipment? Do you want me to ship it right to Bridgeton, or do you want me to drop more off at the warehouse for you so that you can get it to Bridgeton? And it's
amazing.
Great positive reinforcement,
Of
right?
course.
Like it's working for people. Nothing makes me happier than when people say, I swear by this. People keeping it in their purse, right? They're taking it with them everywhere they go, because it works not just for brown tail, but for lots of other irritations. You're out raking this spring, and you're going to come in with some itchy spots, and we just keep a jar of lotion open on the counter at all times.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you're a newer entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
And community, I also think of like getting your brand out there
Mm-hmm.
at a local level. So did you participate in any type of like farmers markets or anything like that at first, or like, because I see some people will do that, they'll have their product in those spaces, and I'd like to have your thought process on those.
Yeah, I haven't done any farmers markets, mostly because it's really labor intensive for me. We're a really small team of people, and my kids aren't quite at the age where I can drop them off at the Damerscotta Farmers Market with a whole bunch of product and say, okay, sell for the morning, right? Like we can't do that. And so we have been relying more on the wholesale side of things to get the products out into the community. We love to sponsor community events. We have a nice partnership with Darrowby Farm Sanctuary in Jefferson, and Veggies to Table in Newcastle. All of the food that they grow on their farm is donated to local food pantries. So there are some real key organizations that we align with and we support, with our products and our money. And our time. We volunteer, and so trying to be supportive of great community organizations as well.
As a small business, you are targeted by a lot of people, and for good reason. They just want support by local businesses and organizations to support their organizations, and it is like you are getting asked by everyone. So it's so important to not say yes all the time, because that's not sustainable. And it's not marketing. A lot of people think it's marketing, but sometimes it's just by doing good by others. And I think that's a really important lesson that you shared, is that you gotta support things that matter to you and your family, and that same circle that you're in, that circle of influence. So I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah. And we feel like our products really align and support those types of organizations as well. Our kids are active in sports, and so baseball season's coming up, and we've always got Flick with us, right? So people are complaining about the bugs. Here, use some of this, right?
That's awesome.
So we're the I think unofficial sponsor of Lincoln County Little League. But it's helping.
Well, it's better than off deep woods, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that was another part, I guess, of our decision making process. To go back to that question, why did you want to buy this product, we believe in it. These products work. They work for us. They work for our families. We feel like they're products that we really support and believe in.
Yeah.
And so it's easy for us to take on that sort of a product.
Yeah. That is awesome. So we're gonna transition into. Actually, no. I think we have a little bit more time. So I think I would like to just dive a little bit more into that. So, what advice would you give to other Maine entrepreneurs who are looking to launch a product-based business? What's your message to them?
Yeah, I think don't be afraid to start small. Don't be afraid to continue to evolve. Right? Like we say with all of our businesses, we are figuring it out as we go, and we have to try things in order to figure out if it's going to work. And I think that message, that lesson is applicable across the board, no matter what your product is.
Right.
We started Soothing Lotion because we had a need in our own family. And so I think trying to figure out where the needs are in the community, what is something that's going to solve a problem and make things better for people. And if you can make some money along the way, then that's great. Yeah. Right? We are really trying to minimize our environmental footprint. And so for Flick, we're using these plastic bottles, which isn't my favorite. But when we look at going to aluminum, which would be better environmentally, then we can't see the product in the bottle. And that's important to us in terms of making sure that we have consistency in our product. And so, it's making some hard choices about, what are you, transitioning from plastic to glass? Where was the downside there, right? Like how can you continue to evolve and make things better, while at the same time being mindful of your bottom line and the quality of the product that you're putting out there.
Yeah, because you could have just said, I'm just going to go with the most environmental, and next thing you know, it's not a profitable business model. Sure. So you got to balance those. There's some wins and losses here, and so you got to outweigh those or look at those things. So thank you so much for sharing that. So the next segment is the lessons and advice for entrepreneurs, and we kind of kicked that off with that question, which is good. Looking back, is there anything you wish you had done differently in your business journey?
I think that I was unprepared for the level of detail needed for bookkeeping. That is one thing that I have been, it's still a journey for me. I'm still growing there. And I think I should have done a bit more learning on the bookkeeping side of things. We worked with CEI, Coastal Enterprises. I'm not sure what the I stands for, but
Institute, I believe
is it Institute?
Yeah, I believe that's what it is.
And there are lots of organizations like CEI in Maine that provide free business and startup support.
Yes.
The Maine Small Business Association, and so to partner with those sorts of organizations to get some advice and support and training is a huge lesson learned that I think people don't realize there's so many resources out there to help you get started. And I wish that I had done a little bit more on the accounting and bookkeeping side. But having an accountant is amazing, and that's really, really important. To go back to the team, right? To have a good legal team, some, people that you can reach out to when you have questions, having that accountant who's keeping me on the straight and narrow, figuring out how to do the tax side of things, all of that's the actual running of the business is something I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah, and it's something that we talk about all the time. It's because in my world, my company, we support businesses, and for us we had to adapt, because when I took over, not everyone could afford to have a bookkeeper.
Mhm.
So there's all types of levels within a business's journey, and often enough, like you can't afford someone to do your books for you. So you kind of like do it yourself, and you're right. If you're not trained to be a bookkeeper, it's a long road.
Yeah.
But also too, you have to value your time. Like,
For sure.
how much time am I taking, and how much time am I losing in creating my product, getting it out there, and actually making money? So it's a tough road. Not everyone can afford it at first, and so sometimes you got to get somebody to clean it up for you,
Yes.
which is an affordable option.
Yep.
But also too, your accountant will thank you, because it's something that's really, really important. But I'm so glad that you're figuring it out. But it takes time, and have patience doing it.
It does take time. Yeah, and I mean, trying to decide when you start to take a salary out of a business too, right?
Yeah.
Like for a long time, we have put everything that we've made back into the business, right? And we're fortunate that we have these other full-time jobs that can pay the bills while we're trying to grow these other businesses. And so trying to get to that point too is something my accountant continues to kind of coach me on. Like, okay, you're ready to start taking, this amount or that amount. And, this is a seasonal business as well. So, we've got a high season and a low season.
That makes sense.
And, trying to kind of make sure that you've got all the parts in place to kind of manage things throughout the seasons is something that people need to pay attention as well.
That's awesome. And just a point of clarity for our listeners and viewers is Coastal Enterprises Incorporated.
Coastal Enterprises Incorporated, great.
Yeah.
Super lovely people.
And I'm so glad that you brought them up, because I don't think that entrepreneurs realize on how many resources that they have, especially if they're a Maine-made product, if they are, anything to do with aquaculture, if they're anything with the ocean or lakes, or natural resources. CEI is a great organization to be able to tap into, and I think that people just need to understand that. And I'm so glad you brought it up today. Yeah. Sorry, CEI, for saying Institute, because I think I said Institute too. It's incorporated. We're good. We're good on that.
They're lovely people, and you definitely should reach out to them if you're thinking of starting a small business.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you. What's the best piece of advice you've received as an entrepreneur?
Great question. I think staying true to the product, staying true to the sort of mission and values that you have, and not selling yourself short. These products help people enjoy the outdoors, and they help our family be outside, and that's really important to our family as a set of values. And I think to people across Maine and New England, right? We're outdoorsy folks. And, so these products help people enjoy the outdoors in a more holistic way.
Yeah.
And whether it's, prevention of bites from Flick the Tick to then treating whatever you come across with Soothing Lotion, and not trying to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
Right? We're not trying to sell out to a big corporation. We're trying to keep it small. We're trying to keep it local, and we're trying to really stay true to those values.
That's so important, and that's great advice to whoever gave that to you, because often, if the product is in good standing and people enjoy it, and the reason why you bought it because it's a great product. So many times as humans, we just want to put our spin on it, and sometimes you just gotta have a little restraint. You don't necessarily have to put your stamp on things. Right. As my daughters would say, like, stop putting your logo on everything. But because my Stanley's just fine, Chris.
Sure,
so but anyway, so it's a joke, but I think it's so important that when you are buying a business, that you respect that honeymoon period. Like when you take over a classroom from someone,
Absolutely.
Right, as a teacher, or if you're a manager somewhere, it's so important about just chill.
Yeah.
Like, come in and observe, build relationships, okay, create that circle, and then get their buy-in for your vision, and do it together. And I think that you've done that with your family, which is really cool.
Yeah. And I think to be able to sit back and listen is a beautiful luxury, right? We bought a successful company, and so there's not a whole lot to change there, right? Like, it's doing really well, and we're not looking to make big changes. We want to continue its growth and success.
That's awesome.
And the previous owners, Heather and Crystal, have been super supportive, and we're still in regular contact. They want to see Flick continue to grow and thrive, and so their support has been incredibly helpful and appreciated, and they're cheering us on. It's great.
That's fantastic. So what's next for Soothing Lotion and Flick the Tick?
Yeah, hopefully you're going to see it in more stores, in Maine and New England, and we're just going to keep helping people be happy outside.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Any big ones coming soon, like any type of new retail stores?
Yeah, I mean, we're in constant conversation. We're and again, learning, right? I'm learning. So we've just in the last few weeks gotten into when companies like Aubuchon or Ames True Value want to buy new products, they go to they have like access to a website, a database of products that are offered. So we're starting to get ourselves into those databases so that our products are easier for companies to find when they're looking for new products. And so to be able to tag ourselves as Maine-based, as woman-owned, as, small family business, things like that, hopefully make us more appealing to some bigger stores.
And I hope that the state's looking, because a lot of people and entrepreneurs don't realize that there could be some opportunity to work with government.
Yes.
To be able to distribute to government and be able to. Have you looked into that?
We have, yeah. And so we work with the state of Vermont already.
Awesome.
And so we just had some communication with them yesterday.
All right, come on, state of Maine.
I know,
come
right?
on,
and
get
so
on board here.
But it's a matter of where are the state parks and who has a store as part of a state park that would sell something. We work with a lot of summer camps, and so the summer camps are staffing their counselor backpacks with these products, which is great, and making them available for campers in the camp store.
That's awesome.
Campgrounds, right? Campgrounds are stocking these in their stores. So again, it's a lot of hustling. It's cold calling. It's, hey, we think these products would be great for the people who frequent your, whatever the business or organization is. We work with a lot of different Audubon societies. So, if you go to the Audubon shop in Falmouth, you're going to find our products.
That's awesome.
And so, but that's time intensive too, right? Doing the research and reaching out and having those conversations with people. But it's totally worth it, and it's good fun. And now it's super fun for our family to go somewhere and into a store and see, where do they have, where does Jefferson Market have Soothing Lotion on the shelves, and Flick the Tick too. So it's, especially the mom and pops that we know and love, from our own family, right, to be able to go in and say, oh, look, Granite Hall, there we are, right? Like it's pretty cool.
All right, so my fun segment that I always thank you, very, very, very informational for our listeners and for myself too. So thank you very much for sharing. But I love fun speed questions. That's our segment that we've had the last few weeks. And being that it's episode 20, here we go. Let's do this, right?
Okay.
All right, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
How many cups a day?
3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All day or in the morning?
No, morning. And then maybe sometimes around 2.
Okay. Don't have a problem because I have Nespresso 5 times a day.
No, that's not a problem at all.
Okay.
I run a bed and breakfast. Are you kidding? There's constant access to coffee.
Good.
No judgment there.
All right. Favorite season in Maine?
All of them. Can I say that?
Yes, you can.
Fall, summer, fall, summer, fall.
Summer, fall. Okay.
Yeah. September. Right. The month of September is the best month.
I agree with you 100%. One business tool or app you can't live without?
QuickBooks. Gag.
Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. What's a Maine-based product you love besides your own?
Carabasset coffee.
Why?
They're amazing.
Okay.
Their coffee is fantastic.
All
The
right.
people are so lovely. Sorry, these are like products from my that we use for the B&B. Trillium soaps
Okay.
here in Rockland. Amazing soaps.
Really?
Yes, we use those in our B&B too.
So, all right. So my wife's listening. So Carabasset is going to be.
Carabasset coffee.
All right, that's going to be added to because
And
we're turning into
Trillium
coffee
soaps.
snobs.
Yeah.
It's real. We're grinding now.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, good for you.
yeah.
Schooner blend is my favorite.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Love it. If you could have dinner with an entrepreneur, any entrepreneur, who would it be?
Probably Jennifer Garner.
Okay.
She's so cool, and I love her farm products, and yeah.
I had no idea that she had a farm.
She has like a
Okay.
whole organic farm and makes these amazing products for
Okay, so
families.
it's
and
not
young
just
people.
commercials now.
No,
So-
not just commercials.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Best advice you've ever received, and I know we talked about entrepreneurial focused one, but what's the best advice somebody has given to you personally?
Oh boy. I think be kind. Right? Like there's
It's a simple
if
thing,
you
right?
if you can be kind to people, it's amazing
Yeah.
sort of what that kindness can lead to.
Especially when somebody is not being so kind to
Mhm.
you, just be yourself.
Yes.
Be kind. That's great advice, and we all should take that. Right, the world would be so much better. You know, sometimes we have to be a little direct, but you can be nice when
For
you're
sure.
direct.
Yes.
You don't have to be mean when you do it.
Yep.
It's a good lesson for many, for
Yeah.
sure.
But
including myself.
boundaries are important.
Boundaries are very important.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. You know, today we've had Stephanie Cheney on talking about her product, Flick the Tick, as well as Soothing Lotion, which I cannot wait to check it all out because we live in Sprucehead and mosquitoes can carry you away for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Knock on wood, I have not had brown tail, but it has been in my family, and I don't want it.
Yes, you don't.
I don't want it. So thank you so much for sharing your journey. And you know, we learned a lot about her entrepreneurial journey today. We talked about building a Maine-based brand. You know, we've talked about her lessons and advice for entrepreneurs, and and it's so good that you're able to share how people have been impactful and things that you've learned. And I'm really excited to see where you go and your brand and where can folks find your products right now? Just our listeners right here in Rockland, where can they go as well?
Sure. So Reny's, fresh off the farm.
Oh.
I should have had my list. This is where I should have had my list.
The co-op, you
The
said?
co-op. Yep.
Awesome.
Do we have any Aubuchons around here?
We don't.
No. Belfast
The
co-op.
Yeah. Rising Tide Damerscott.
Yep. Rising Tide Damerscott, Wiscasset, Ames True Value,
Wow.
Jefferson Market.
Okay. So everyone, make sure that you go to those places. Our Rockland residents, go ahead and go and shop your local establishment. But Flick the Tick is right here, as well as her amazing lotion called Soothing Lotion, which is very, very cool stuff.
Right. We're also selling on flickthetick.com.
Thank you so much. And so that's really important for folks to be able to know where to be able to find you. So are you on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay. Can you share what
Flick
that?
the Tick.
Flick the Tick.
Flick the Tick. Flick the Tick. Yeah. And so because because we had two separate companies, and so we've merged things. I'm just trying to cross post things, between Soothing Lotion, which is also on Instagram and Facebook, and soothinglotion.com. And Flick the Tick. But because Heather was a designer and a web designer, the Flick the Tick website is beautiful, right? So we're trying, and she had the store already set up for selling online. So we're trying to just kind of move Soothing Lotion stuff into the Flick the Tick space. And yeah, but it's all there.
That's awesome.
I love to connect with people and hear, your success stories.
That's awesome. And we'll be sure to have those links in our post a little bit later. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us today. Listeners and viewers, we're going to have another great show next week with Concepta Jones. I'm hearing that she's very popular, and I'm really looking forward to having her on the show. And then on the following week, Diana Castle will be joining us. And then we'll end the month of March with Greg Imus, and it'll be great to have that because that'll be somewhat of a different type of episode, but we're definitely looking forward to having these future guests on. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to our listeners, and we will see you next week. Thank you, everyone.